Millions entered these gates, but very few ever walked out. The Holocaust remains one of humanity's darkest chapters, but behind the staggering numbers are specific, horrifying truths that are rarely understood. These are the realities hidden in the footnotes of history. The mind struggles to grasp the number: 6 million. 6 million Jewish men, women and children murdered by Nazi Germany and its collaborators. But the devastation didn't end there. Millions of others were targeted. Roma people, the disabled, political prisoners, Soviet prisoners of war, and many more deemed undesirable. It was a systematic attempt to erase entire cultures from the face of the earth. Of all the camps, one name became synonymous with death itself: Auschwitz-Birkenau. It wasn't just a camp, it was an industrial complex for mass murder. Trains arrived day and night, packed with people from every corner of occupied Europe. For most, their final journey ended here, on a concrete platform known as the ramp. Within minutes of arrival, families were torn apart forever. A flick of an officer's finger decided life or death. To the right for forced labor, to the left for the gas chambers. There were no goodbyes, no last words, just a brutal, silent separation. Those who survived the initial selection faced a new horror: the systematic stripping of their identity. Names were erased, replaced by a number tattooed onto their arm. Hair was shaved. Personal belongings were confiscated and sorted into massive, haunting piles. You were no longer a person, you were a number, a piece of property. Survival became a daily battle against a system designed to break the human spirit. Starvation was a deliberate tool of control and extermination. The daily rations were just enough to sustain a person for a few weeks of grueling forced labor. Disease was rampant, and medical care was virtually non-existent. Life hung by a thread. Perhaps the most heartbreaking reality is the fate of the children. Over 1.5 million children were murdered during the Holocaust, a generation erased before it could begin. They were often the first to be sent to the gas chambers, deemed useless for labor. This loss is immeasurable, a void in the fabric of humanity. For those who were spared immediate death, a different kind of terror awaited. Nazi doctors, most infamously Josef Mengele at Auschwitz, performed horrific medical experiments on prisoners without consent. Twins in particular were singled out for cruel and pseudo-scientific research. These acts represented a complete perversion of medicine, turning healing into an instrument of torture. Yet, even in the deepest darkness, there were flickers of light. Amidst the horror, there was incredible courage and resistance. It wasn't just armed uprisings, though those did happen. Resistance took many forms. Prisoners secretly documented Nazi crimes, burying their accounts in jars and cans so the truth might one day be found. They shared stolen food, they taught children in secret, they sang forbidden songs. These small acts of defiance were acts of war against a system designed to crush their humanity. As the war neared its end and Allied forces closed in, the Nazis began a final, desperate act of cruelty. They evacuated the camps, forcing tens of thousands of prisoners on what would become known as death marches. In the brutal cold of winter, emaciated and ill, they were marched for miles with little to no food or water. Anyone who could not keep up was shot. It was a final, chaotic attempt to hide their crimes and to ensure there were as few witnesses as possible. The liberation of the camps revealed the full, unthinkable horror to the world. The Holocaust fundamentally reshaped our world. It led to the Nuremberg trials, where Nazi leaders were prosecuted for crimes against humanity. It spurred the creation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the very word genocide was coined to describe this unique evil. The echoes of this tragedy remind us of the terrifying speed at which a society can unravel. How hatred, propaganda, and the silence of good people can lead to unimaginable suffering. To remember is more than an act of history, it is a vow, a promise to the past and a warning to the future, but we must never ever forget.